I'd like to call the Monday, October 26, 2020 meeting of the Goldsboro Planning Commission to order at this time. Our first item on the agenda will be approval of minutes for the September 28th, 2020 meeting. If I could have a motion to that effect, please.
I move to approve.
I second it.
All right, Mr. Bauer makes a motion to accept the minutes as presented by staff for approval, as seconded by Mr. Slater. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, same. The motion carries. Minutes are approved. And our Planning Commission items, it appears as item 3 on the agenda, will be presented by our Assistant Planning Director, Mr. Talton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item of business will be C620 Caps Enterprises of Greenville. The applicant is requesting to rezone 2 commercially developed properties from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. We have the first lot, which is 2203 through 2205 East Ash Street, which is an existing shopping center. We have another lot 2, 2205B through 2207C East Ash Street. Let's see if I can get these. One here and here. They are both flanked on either side by a general business zoning district. Let's see. To the north is residential, to the south is residential. The subject properties are currently occupied by a brick veneer single-story commercial building, shopping center of approximately 16,670 square feet. As previously stated, the applicant desires to rezone the properties from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. 2 25-foot wide asphalt driveways provide access to the site from East Ash Street. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends commercial development for the property. The proposed rezoning would be compatible with the comprehensive land use plan. The property is located in a special flood hazard area known as the 100-year floodplain. City water and sewer are available to serve the property. In March of 2017, the Planning Commission recommended approval of a change of zone request for the property from neighborhood business to general business conditional district with waiver of site plan at time of rezoning. However, in April of 2017, City Council denied the change of zone request. Since then, the property has been sold. The new owner applicant is seeking to rezone a rezoning change to increase the allowable uses for the site, thereby enhancing the marketability of his property to rent the individual spaces. Currently, a church, a clothing store, beauty salon, sandwich shop, and health and nutrition center occupy the commercial strip center. At the public hearing on October 19th, the property owner and an existing tenant within the shopping center came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against the request. Are there any questions of this case?
Why did the City Council not approve it in 2017?
Good question.
They did not feel it was not within harmony.
Not within harmony with general business on both sides, you say?
But at that time, the conditional district request, I believe, was with the anticipation of it being a place of entertainment was trying to be established.
If memory serves me correct, that's...
Caution, though, I mean, even if this board were to recommend the general business zoning district conventional, those uses, that being the ones that I think we probably would have concern with and or want public input, would require a special use permit. So even if a place of entertainment were to pursue to go there, they would have to have a conditional use permit approved by City Council to operate.
Okay.
But I'm confused. Wouldn't that have applied when the City Council looked at it in March?
Yeah, I don't recall any of the specifics beyond what she said, or indicated, that the proposal was put forth as a kind of a housekeeping measure, I guess, by the property owner at the time, just to get all the zoning for the entire strip in harmony, so to speak. I do know that we approved, the planning commission approved the rezone request, and I don't remember the exact reason, but for whatever reason, the council did not accept the recommendation at that time of the planning commission and denied that request. I'm still feel the same way I did when we voted on it the last time. I don't see any reason to, from the wisdom of this board, and obviously, as I've pointed out many times before, we're simply a recommending authority to the
Correct.
council, so they're free to use their own wisdom and decision-making process whenever their opinion is different than ours. But from this board's perspective, I don't feel any different than I did when we voted on it before, which is there's no reason to not get it all, the same for the property owner. Because as, of course, has been pointed out, anything that would be, place of entertainment or anything that would be, an issue for the surrounding neighborhood or out of harmony is going to have to be brought back before us as well as the council anyhow. So personally, as the chairman, I don't see an issue with this no more than I did the first time that we approved it.
I agree.
This request too, Mr. Talton, is GB only, not GBCD.
That is
right?
correct.
Okay. But the rest of the property is GB only.
That is
Correct.
correct. Yes, sir.
Mr. Talton, can you give me an example of what they could do with the property with the change of zoning that they can't do now?
Well, I can give you an example of a couple of uses that stand out. For one, an auto parts place is not allowed in the neighborhood business zoning district, which it would be in a general business zoning district. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think a restaurant would be permitted in general business, but in the neighborhood business district, let's see, a drive-through is not a permitted use. That would have to be a combination drive-through and restaurant.
And the white portion of the strip there that's visible in the picture back years ago actually used to be a CarQuest auto parts store back in the 80s.
You're exactly right.
And those uses he just specified would be permitted without coming back before city council.
That's correct.
But anything that was outdoor storage or a place of entertainment, things like that that are permitted in the GB would require a conditional use and would come back before council.
It's not really a neighborhood in a sense.
No, and I think the council would probably, as should we, would be certainly cognizant of what goes there because it's across the street from the park and all that. But there again, in my opinion, the things that staff and the city through the UDO has already identified uses within the general business district that would require special approval because it could be something that would be out of harmony, such as place of entertainment or
The internet cafes, those sort of things
That-
do,
correct.
and they have our supplemental regulations on them.
Yeah,
Anyway.
so again, I said, based on all that, I don't see any issue with it.
Like I said, the property behind you, yes, at one time, and it still is zoned residential, but it's now owned by the city of Goldsboro, as I'm assuming flood-prone property.
No, because that right behind it is where the entrance way to the, whatever the proper name would be for the greenway back there.
Greenway, yes, sir.
Greenway.
There's parking area back there, it's a public parking area.
That's right.
Is there any more discussion or questions of staff? If not, we'll take a motion on this item.
Well, seeing as it's compatible with the comprehensive plan and it's general business both sides and, east and west, I recommend approval.
Yeah.
And I second.
Okay. Mr. Bauer makes a motion that we accept item Z6-20 as presented by staff for approval, as seconded by Mr. Slater. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The motion carries and the item is approved.
We'll move on to our second rezoning, Z720 for Wayne Oil Company. This property is located on the northwest corner of Wayne Memorial Drive and 4th Street, neighborhood business, general business, conditional district to general business. I'll just say this one thing about the applicant. Yes, sir. Applicant's requesting to rezone a portion of the subject property from neighborhood business to general business zoning district. I just wanted to let you know that at the time the applicant came to the planning department and was requesting to rezone to a conventional zoning district for a general business zoning designation only. Within days before the public hearing, the applicant produced a site plan showing the use of the property as a automatic car wash. At that time, we had already advertised, the planning department had already advertised to a general business zoning district, and as such, we could not go forward with his request for site plan approval as a car wash. So I won't go into too much detail, but if you have questions going forward, please let me know. But staff right now is recommending that the planning commission deny this request without prejudice so that the applicant can reapply for a zoning change within 6 months. The applicant has been informed of this information, and he is intending to go ahead and ask council to withdraw again without prejudice with your recommendation, and in doing so, he will apply for a zoning request to a general business conditional district limiting the use of the property to an automatic car wash. Now again, Chairman, if you'd like, I'll be glad to go through this agenda memo and read it right on through, but if not, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Only one quick question. If staff would like for us to recommend denial without prejudice so that the applicant can come back again and make a new request for general business conditional district, why come we can't as a board just go ahead and approve him for general business conditional district, since that would be a lesser district than straight GB?
And that was brought to our attention, but it's because of the way it was advertised.
Okay.
Legally, we had a legal ad in the paper, and without going through proper due notice requirements and explaining that in the paper and being descriptive about the use of the property, then if for some reason there was somebody out there that
Could be challenged.
did not know the exact nature of the rezoning and why it was done so, then it saves us from having any sort of legal dispute later on.
Okay, and the applicant's okay with that as well at this point?
The
Okay.
applicant's site plan is not 100% ready, so even the time, they're only losing about a couple of weeks, because you'll definitely see this at your next public
Right back
hearing in
again.
November. So the
Okay.
2 weeks that it's kind of, it makes it seem like it's dragging it out a couple more weeks, but they're still getting their site plan and documents ready so that it's appropriately presented
Okay,
during the
so when
public
it comes
hearing.
back again, we'll do
You'll see the site plan and
entertain
everything.
the zoning change as well as the site plan. Gotcha, okay.
So can we just go ahead and recommend denial right now without going?
That's what the staff's suggesting, so when he gets through with his presentation.
Or you have to still,
Need to hear the presentation.
you still have to give your presentation?
I'll be glad to. That's not a problem, and like I said, if you just
I think we're ready to go ahead and
I mean-
accept the staff's recommendation and make a decision, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
recommend denial then.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay. Mr. Bauer makes a motion to accept the recommendation of staff and deny without prejudice item Z7-20. That's seconded by Mr. Walson. All in favor of denial, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, same. And motion carries. This item is denied without prejudice.
Thank you, Chairman. We'll move on to our next item. Just for the record, we have the applicant, Brandon Jones, and wife. They are here tonight to listen and to be a part of this planning commission action. So tonight, the applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property from residential R20A to general industry conditional district in order to limit the use of the property to a commercial sawmill. In conjunction with the rezoning request, the applicant is requesting separate site plan approval as required by the city's Unified Development Ordinance. The proposed change of zone request is associated with Site 2120, which we'll go into more detail after we consider the rezoning request. The site plan, again, will come after. Site plan approval is required and will come after the zoning request. As you see here, let's go to the site. Here's the property outlined by the dark red. Just want to bring to your attention that half of this property, more than half of it, is located in the city of Goldsboro's jurisdiction. The lesser of the two, the remaining acreage, belongs to Wayne County's jurisdiction. We have received written approval from Wayne County to, they have relinquished their jurisdictional authority for land use regulation in that area over to the city of Goldsboro. The subject property is currently clear and vacant. It is surrounded by zoning to the north, which is residential conditional district, R20A CD, of which there is a approved solar farm. We'll go into detail with that a little later. And to the right again, this is part of the county zoning with an airport overlay district. This is the county airport. This has nothing to do with Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. To the south of the property is Wayne County Residential, Agricultural. It's also part of Wayne County's jurisdiction. To the east, General Business and Residential. To the west, Residential Conditional District, R20ACD. As previously stated, the applicant desires to rezone the subject property from R20A to General Industry Conditional District, I2CD, in order to limit the use of the property to a commercial sawmill. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends a portion of the property for industrial development and the remaining acreage for medium-density residential development. The property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer are not available to serve the property. However, water will be provided by a private underground water well. Sewer will be obtained through the use of private on-site septic pump and waste systems in accordance with Wayne County Environmental Health. Approximately 5.76 acres is located within Wayne County's Airport Overlay District. Wayne County Planning and Airport officials have been advised of the applicant's proposed rezoning request. As of date, no additional comments or requirements from Wayne County have been communicated to city officials. At the public hearing held on October 19th, property owner and applicant were present, however, held their comments for the associated conditional use permit public hearing which followed the rezoning request. Here's a site, picture of the site off of Belfast Road.
795. That's a view from 795.
I'm sorry, view from 795.
Looking across
Yes, sir.
795 at
There
the
you
property.
go.
Gotcha.
There you go. Thank you. Here is the, again, from the overpass at Belfast, this would be the property right here.
The property, if
Yes, sir.
it's okay for me to ask a question?
Sure.
The property that would be to the west, that's designated as medium-density residential, and I
Yes, sir.
think it's currently zoned a combination of R20 and R40. None of that property is developed, correct?
To the west, there is, now the solar farm, of course, is,
Is that what the crosshatch looking on this is? That this area here, is that the solar farm?
yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, well then that answers that question.
That's right. That what you're seeing there is the panels here.
But isn't there one resident, isn't there a house within 1,000 feet?
This here, now the paint shop is right here. We have no indication that that is being used as a house. We don't have a permanent address for it.
Right.
We don't have anything in our records reflecting
But
that.
that's what you're referring to when you say there's a residence within 1,000 feet?
Well, when we go into the site plan, we'll discuss that further, letting you know exactly, there are some particular supplemental regulations when it comes to the proposed use, that you must be a certain distance from residentially zoned and developed property.
We're only looking at the rezone at this particular.
At this particular time, yes, sir, we're just pertaining to the rezoning of the property.
I don't see an issue with it. That's certainly a good.
Now,
area
if you
to
feel
belong.
like you need to, I mean, the staff can easily go into the conditional use permit side of it from a site plan, but we just need to make sure that the commission has two separate action items.
I understand.
So if you want more detail, we can proceed forward with that before you make a recommendation for the
Right.
rezoning.
I'm okay personally with what I'm seeing here. I mean, it's on future interstate corridor, so. Or already pre-designated, I guess. Is there any discussion or further questions? If not, we'll take a motion on the rezone item.
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
And I second it.
All right, Mr. Bauer makes a motion that we approve item Z8-20 as presented by staff, and that's seconded by Mr. Slater. All in favor of that motion for approval, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, and motion carries.
Okay. We'll move straight on into the site plan, CU 620. Again, if the Goldsboro City Council approves the applicant's rezoning request from R20A to General Industry Conditional District, the use of the property will be limited for the operation of a commercial sawmill only. Commercial sawmill requires a conditional use permit when located in the General Industry Zoning District. There, you're looking at a total acreage of around 13 acres. There is no frontage for the property. Currently, it's zone residential 20, Wayne County Airport overlay. Property is currently clear and vacant. Property is located directly east of an existing solar farm. On July 6, 2015, the City of Goldsboro Council approved the change of zone from R40 to R20A Residential Conditional District to allow the development of that solar farm. The submitted site plan indicates 4 commercial buildings to be utilized in the operation of the business. A 15 by 25 foot metal office building will serve as the principal structure in the operation of the business. Let's see here. It is, well, hang on one second. All right, so here is the office right here. A 50 by 50, 2,500 square foot enclosed metal storage shelter will serve as an add-on to the principal building, which you'll see here. An 18 by 34 foot, 612 square foot commercial dry kiln is proposed behind the proposed storage area, along with the 20 by 60, 1,200 square foot commercial sawmill. So the kiln would be here with the sawmill shelter right here. A floor plan has been provided which consists of an office, restroom for customers, employees, storage areas, and 3 automobile service bays. Hours of operation Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturdays That will vary. At this time, the number of employees are 4. The applicant has proposed a new 24-foot driveway cutoff of Belfast Road to access the site. Curb cutoff, Belfast Road to access the site. Belfast Road is a NCDOT maintained roadway. The applicant has consulted with NCDOT officials, and they have been made aware of the fact, that the driveway permit will be required. However, at this time, no other roadway improvements will be necessary. The site has no frontage along Belfast Road. As such, a proposed 50-foot ingress, egress, and regress easement off Belfast Road will provide access to the site as well as to employee and commercial truck parking spaces. So as you'll see here, here's the overpass. As you're coming off the overpass, there's an existing driveway that you can use to access the paint store. But DOT did require that this access to the site need to be further westward. And so here's the proposed gravel access road to the site. A lot of trucks will enter and exit using that driveway. Now, should at this point in time the scale of the project and the operation is not warranting a deceleration lane at this time. However, in 1 year's time, DOT will evaluate the site and determine if further improvements will be required. The applicant, again, is proposing a 20-foot wide gravel access road for approximately 1,000 feet. Since heavy log trucking operations will be conducted on site, again, log trucks will enter and exit the site off Belfast Road. Parking for the commercial sawmill requires 1 space per 2 employees on the maximum shift, plus 1 space for each vehicle stored on site. A total of 4 employee parking spaces have been proposed, including 1 handicap accessible parking space. According to the applicant, there will be no overnight parking conducted on site. Engineering comments: the property is not located in a special flood hazard area. City water and sewer are not available to serve the property. Private water and on-site waste disposal systems will be incorporated. Grading and drainage plans have not been submitted. The applicant will be required to submit plans in accordance with city engineering standards before construction permits are released. So getting back to those supplemental standards for this commercial sawmill, in addition to the requirements of the general industry zoning district, the following supplemental regulations are required for the proposed sawmill. Number 1, that the entire area of the site shall be enclosed by a 6-foot in height, opaque fence set back 100 feet from any public right-of-way or residentially developed or zoned property, and or 50 feet from any other adjacent property. Number 2, the yard between the fence and the property line not used for parking shall be planted with grass and having the landscaping composed of large trees spaced not more than 40 feet apart and not less than 1 row of shrubs 30 inches in height. Space that they will form a continuous visual screen 6 feet in height within 3 growing seasons. Number 3, no loading or unloading of material shall occur outside the fenced area. Number 4, a statement shall be submitted with the plans indicating whether any manufacturing or processing operation will create smoke, offensive odor, dust, noise, fumes, or vibrations beyond the lot lines of the proposed use. If one or more of such conditions exist, the developer shall explain what measures will be taken to mitigate such conditions to acceptable levels. The uses, number 5, the uses shall be located a minimum of 1,000 feet from any residentially developed or zoned property. The 1,000-foot separation distance shall be measured in a straight line from property line to property line with no consideration as to intervening structures, roads, or platforms, or landforms. As such, the applicant is requesting a modification of item number 5 listed above as residentially zoned and developed property is located within 1,000 feet of the subject property. If you will, let me revisit your attention to the actual. I don't know that we've got a picture that actually shows it. So let me just tell you that from residentially zoned property, we are looking at 390 feet from undeveloped, from the actual property of the proposed sawmill to residentially zoned developed property, R16. To the east, you're looking at 390 feet. But we know too that we have the solar farm, which is located just to the west. So again, residentially zoned property, we do not meet the 1,000 feet requirement. We do, again, Mr. Walson, when it comes to this property here, we don't have any records that exists as a residential, a residence.
Has anybody checked to see if someone lives there?
Not from our office. And again, we didn't have any records through our inspections department that there was any record of any residents at that location. Now, I will say, to the east here, residentially developed property that we do have on file, we are showing that we have, 1,084 feet. And this is, again, from this property here, our jurisdiction, to the east as you go off of north, what is that, to Belfast. What's that highway called, 117, or is it
795.
795? The business route there to Belfast, again, we are showing 1,084 feet there.
And that's also, that 1,084 feet, that's across 795 on the other side of the 4-lane.
That is correct. So, again, I just wanted to point out that he is asking for a modification for residentially zoned and developed property within 1,000 feet of the subject property, so that would be a modification. And number two, he is asking for a waiver of the fencing and landscaping requirements for a period not to exceed 1 year from site plan approval. That was something that in the beginnings of our discussions about the project, that was an oversight, and but he did not budget that into his proposal, which is totally understood. That was my oversight. But at this point in time, if things are successful and he decides to move forward, he would make the request to have those improvements made within 1 year. So at the public hearing, again, this is a conditional use permit. At the public hearing, the property owner and applicant came forward to speak in favor of the request, and no one appeared to speak against the request. The planning director and I were talking earlier, because it's a conditional use permit, if there were any conditions if this project were approved, that if there were any complaints made against the property or any conditions that were not followed zoning-wise and through the supplemental regulations, that anybody has a right to come back to the board and petition the board for redress of the proposed use, at which time, again, if it was approved, you would have to make reparations to satisfy any conditions that were proven to be unsatisfactory at the site at that time. So that being said, any questions?
I don't have any. I think it's a good request, and so the modifications seem, in my opinion, fine because of the one structure that's within the boundary there is not an occupied dwelling. The paint or whatever, the residence there, I'm sorry.
Right.
So I don't think that's an issue, and I certainly think that we, in our approach of trying to be pro-business and help do what we can as a municipality to encourage business and development, I certainly would be in favor of allowing the applicant the modification for waiting a little bit on the fencing, particularly since it's an undeveloped industrial area to begin with, with the solar farm there and a 4-lane highway. I think both of those requests for modifications are fine.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't see any issues with it.
Okay. Well, we'll take a motion on this item then.
I make a motion that we accept CU 620 with the modifications and the adjustment, especially with the one for the within a year's time.
Okay. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Slater makes a motion to approve item CU-6-20 as presented by staff along with the requested modifications. That's seconded by Mr. Bauer. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. The motion carries.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the only other thing that we were going to discuss would be our next
Mr.
public
Calhoun,
hearing. Yes, sir.
I thought, Ms. Collins, I thought you said we needed two to act twice on this.
You did,
We
you,
did.
prior to,
We already did, and I
you
missed it.
already did.
Thank you.
That was the one before that.
I just gave you the option to
I can't
hear
be
them
expected to
both prior to
remember these
making,
things.
but
Not a problem at all. Look, we do have another rezoning request off of East Ash Street Extension on Carriage Road and East Ash Street Extension. A property there is being requested to go from a rezoning from a low density to a higher density zoning district, and for the construction of 2 duplexes on that piece of property. So that will require a zoning change to R12.
Is that one of the ones that would be on the east side of Carriage Road, that some of the undeveloped lots up and down there?
Yes, sir, that's exactly right. Where there used to be about 6 manufactured homes, those homes have been removed now. Now they're trying to take advantage of some infill development with 2 duplexes there.